Wagner the Werewolf. Chapter 2. Nisida, the Mysterious Closet. The room in which Nisida withdrew between 4 and 5 o'clock on that mournful winter's morning was one of a suite entirely appropriated to her own use. This suite consisted of 3 apartments communicating with each other and all furnished in the elegant and tasteful manner of that age. The innermost of the 3 rooms was used by Nisida as her bedchamber, and when she now entered it, a young girl, beautiful as an angel, but dressed in the attire of a dependent, instantly rose from a seat near the fire that blazed on the hearth and cast a respectful but inquiring glance toward her mistress. Nisida gave her to understand by a sign that all was over. The girl started, as if surprised that her lady indicated so little grief, but the latter motioned her with an impatient gesture to leave the room. When Flora, such was the name of the dependent, had retired, Nisida threw herself into a large armchair near the fire and immediately became buried in a deep reverie. With her splendid hair flowing upon her white shoulders, her proud forehead supported on her delicate hand, her lips apart and revealing the pearly teeth, her lids with their long black fringes half closed over the brilliant eyes, and her fine form cast in voluptuous abandonment upon the soft cushions of the chair, she indeed seemed a magnificent creature. But when suddenly awaking from that profound meditation, she started from her seat with flashing eyes, heaving bosom, and an expression of countenance denoting a fixed determination to accomplish some deed from which her better feelings vainly bade her to abstain. When she drew her tall, her even majestic form up to its full height, the drapery shadowing forth every contour of undulating bust and exquisitely modelled limb, while her haughty lip curled in contempt of any consideration save her own indomitable will, she appeared rather a heroine capable of leading an Amazonian army than a woman to whom the sighing swain might venture to offer up the incense of love. There was something awful in the aspect of this mysterious being, something ineffably grand and imposing in her demeanour, as she thus suddenly rose from her almost recumbent posture and burst into the attitude of a resolute and energetic woman. Drawing the wrapper around her form, she lighted a lamp, and was about to quit the chamber when her eyes suddenly encountered the mild and benignant glance which the portrait of a lady appeared to cast upon her. This portrait, which hung against the wall precisely opposite to the bed, represented a woman about 30 years of age, a woman of beauty much in the same style as that of Nisida, but not marred by anything approaching to a sternness of expression. On the contrary, if an angel had looked through those mild black eyes, their glances could not have been endowed with a holier kindness. The smiles of good spirits could not be more plaintively sweet than those which the artist had made to play upon the lips of that portrait. Yet in spite of this discrepancy between the expression of Nisida's countenance and that of the lady who had formed the subject of the picture, it was not difficult to perceive a certain physical likeness between the two. Nor will the reader be surprised when we state that Nisida was now gazing on the portrait of her deceased mother. And that gaze, oh, how intent, how earnest, how enthusiastic it was! It manifested something more than love, something more impassioned and ardent than the affection which a daughter might exhibit towards even a living mother. It showed a complete devotion, an adoration, a worship. Long and fixedly did Nisida gaze upon that portrait, till suddenly from her eyes, which shot such burning glances, gushed a torrent of tears. Then, probably fearful lest this weakness on her part might impair the resolution necessary to execute the purpose which she had to view, Nisida dashed away the tears from her long lashes and hastily quitted the room. Having traversed the 2 other apartments of her own suite, she cast a searching glance along the passage which she now entered, and, satisfied that none of the domestics were about, for it was not yet 6 o'clock on that winter's morning, she hastened to the end of the corridor. The lamp flared with the speed at which she walked, and its uncertain light enhanced the pallor that now covered her countenance. At the bottom of the passage, she cautiously opened the door and entered the room with which it communicated. This was the sleeping apartment of her brother. A single glance convinced her that he was wrapped in the arms of slumber. He slept soundly, too, for he was wearied with the vigil which he had passed by the death-bed of his father, worn out also by the thousand conflicting and unsatisfactory conjectures that the last instructions of his parent had naturally excited in his mind. He had not, however, been asleep a quarter of an hour when Nisida stole, in the manner described, into his chamber. A smile of mingled joy and triumph animated her countenance, and a carnation tinge flushed her cheeks when she found he was fast locked in the embrace of slumber. Without a moment's hesitation, she examined his doublet and clutched the key that his father had given to him scarcely 6 hours before. Then, light as the fawn, she left the room. Having retraced her steps halfway up the passage, she paused at the door of the chamber in which the corpse of her father lay. For an instant, a single instant, she seemed to revolt from the prosecution of the design. Then, with a stern contraction of the brows and an imperious curl of the lip, as if she said within herself, "Fool that I am to hesitate," she entered the room. Without fear, without compunction, she approached the bed. The body was laid out, stretched in its winding sheet. Stiff and stark did it seem to repose on the mattress, the countenance rendered more ghastly than even death could make it by the white band which tied up the under jaw. The nurses who had thus disposed the corpse had retired to snatch a few hours of rest, and there was consequently no spy upon Nisida's actions. With a fearless step she advanced towards the closet, the mysterious closet relative to which such strange injunctions had been given. End of Chapter 2, Wagner the Werewolf.